you. Hey, family, and welcome to the Gift of Conversation Podcast 2.0. I'm your boy, Jonathan Hodges, and I'm so glad to have you today as one of my guests here. Listen, the person that we have today is one of the most phenomenal people I've ever met today. So I want you to do me a favor, tag somebody, share this. Um, like it, love it, whatever, and let them know that the conversation we're about to have tonight is going to be so amazing and they don't want to miss it. Tonight we have a musical genius that's going to be on with us tonight, and she's one of my friends. She's a supporter, she's a lover of people, and she's just an amazing person. So, without further ado, please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, with a great God bless you, Miss V. V, are you here?
Yes,
Hey,
honey.
V, how are you?
Going on with this musical genius stuff.
You are a musical genius. Let me tell you something. A unicorn like no other that I've ever met in my life. And I'm just so honored to be having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So
You
we're going
look
to get this
great. You better be
conversation.
dripping in grace.
Stop now. This is my friend Symphony. She's from Canada and she has her own line, and I have been rocking it ever since. But yeah, listen, if it weren't for Grace, I don't know where I would be. Honestly.
Amen.
So, but listen, enough about me, Miss V. I want to get into you, and I want the world to be introduced to this amazing vessel that you are. We met some years back at WIDU. We were
Yep.
doing the Carolina's Best concert, and your voice just sounded like water to me. I was just like so amazed at how I don't know, just how much presence came from such a small person. It was you. Is most of the time it's just you and your guitar and
Yep.
that smile, and you're just smiling and you're singing, and you hit so many people's lives. So this episode I've entitled "Singing Saved My Life." So we're going to get into that as to how singing saved your life. But there's something I always like to open up with, and I want to open it up with you today. And that's first off, I wanted to ask you to describe, and this is something I always do with everybody to kind of give me some insight and intel into who they are. I want you to do me a favor and close your eyes, and I want you to describe your childhood bedroom. Whichever one comes to your mind first, I want you to describe your childhood bedroom for us. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, what's on the walls? What kind of sheets do you have? Is there a TV in the room? Like, whatever you see, can you describe that for us?
Sure. When my parents when my parents first got married, we were in a trailer home. So
Mm-hmm.
my first bedroom was a little small bedroom that actually had three of us in it, which was my older brother, well, both of my older brothers, and it's two bunk beds over by the wall. And then there's a Chester drawer right here. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's the closet here. And I mean, it was like a matchbox, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest brother slept on the top bunk, and my brother Spencer and I slept on the bottom bunk. There wasn't much room for pictures and stuff because, like I said, we just had like the bunk bed and the Chester drawer, you know, with like four drawers in it, and our closet, and that was my very first bedroom. Yeah,
Wow. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. So with that space that you shared with your brothers and with your family, do you still find yourself sharing those same kind of spaces? If not physically, but just emotionally or mentally? Are you
Oh
still
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Actually, after we add my dad added the other, like he added another part onto the house, right?
mm,
And
okay.
so he added two other bedrooms, and then that's when I got my personal bedroom. And
Mm, that's
yeah,
big doings right there.
yeah, I
You done
got my
came
own
up.
bedroom, and then my brother, he actually got my parents' old room. And
Mm,
even though I was like 9, 10, 11, 12, I would still go in there and sneak in my brother's bed and sleep with him
yeah.
because that's how I grew up, you know. And so if they didn't find me in my bed, they knew where I was.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That is
Yep.
so awesome.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
how
yeah.
that directly correlates with your past and then how you still do now. Because I think that a lot of things that we do now, we do it because that's the way we're trained or that's the way we were taught and that type thing. I had a prayer breakfast this weekend and I shared some things with you about it. And so while we were there this weekend, I told a story about a young couple who had just gotten married and they were getting ready to host for the first time for the holidays since they've been married, and so
Oh,
they were like, getting ready to do a roast because that was really big in both their families. And so the newlywed wife was getting ready to like cut both ends of the roast off before she put it into the roaster, and the husband said, "Why do you do that?" And she said, "I don't know. That's the way my mom always did it." And so they
yeah.
called the mom, and the mom was like, "I don't know. That's the way my mom always did it." And they called her.
Wow.
And great grandma ended up telling them that the reason why I cut this roast on both sides is because I never had a roaster that was big enough to fit the ham.
Oh my God.
Everybody thought it was like Bible, or for them to cook a roast like that and cut both ends of the ham off because they just thought that's just how everybody else did it. So, what are some things that has been instilled in you from your family that you just really thought, you know what I'm saying? This is just it. This is how it's supposed to happen, and it was Bible for you. Are there any things that come to mind?
Well, before we get into that, I just had to share that one time I changed the radio in my car. And
Okay.
because I'm used to seeing my cousins having to
Yeah.
rig wires together, I
Mm.
literally cut all my wires. And
Really?
all I had to do was unplug like one little thing and plug it back up to, yeah. So when you said that, I
Oh
just
my
had to
goodness.
bring it up because that's what I saw. That's what
Yeah.
I saw coming up. And
Hmm.
still to this day, I got wires all wired from the front all the way to the back because I just completely messed up my radio. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, let
I
me
get
see.
you. That is so crazy though, because I think I went through that same thing though. Like for
That's
real, my
all I
father was
saw
a
my
mechanic,
cousins
so I
them
just
do.
saw stuff.
And
Wow.
to this day, sometimes I'll be listening to my radio and I'll be like, man, all I had to do was just pull that one thing out there. But anyway, but yeah, that's one thing that really came to my mind when you said that. But I guess to be honest, I have I think I've blazed such a path where I'm starting to relearn some things and until I really like there's not one thing that can really come to mind that I did other than that thing, that
Hmm.
was just what I thought was the right thing to do. Like
Yes.
yeah, that's the only thing that I can really think of because I guess I've been trying to like lose so much of what I was like taught
Hmm.
and kind of evolve into who it is that God wants me to be and that's it's not saying that anything that I was taught was wrong, but
Right.
there's more than one way, you
Hmm.
know. And so
Hmm.
and so
Do you ever
uh
struggle with that, like who you are and who God's called you to be? Like, have you ever found yourself in that frictional battle where it's like, I
oh
know this is
yeah.
who I'm supposed to be, this is where I am, and this is what God is calling me to? How do you
Oh
how do
yeah.
you deal with that? Because I know it's a lot of mental anguish that comes sometimes. You and I talked before this show, and we were talking about how if you are musically inclined or if you're creative, if you're in the music department, most of the time there's a short somewhere because
Yeah.
that's just how we're wired as musicians, as creatives, as innovators. We just are wired differently. So I want you just to be able to speak to those other creatives and musicians and people who deal with just whether they're in church or not, just how they deal with the fight of where I am and where I'm supposed to be. What was that for you?
Okay, well, I was reared up in religion. And so I was reared up around rules and I'm a pastor's kid.
Mm,
So when you're a pastor's kid, you already almost got your life already set once you come out the womb. You're gonna either play an instrument, you're
right.
gonna either direct the choir, you're gonna do something in ministry. And so my dad knew I was gonna be a musician because music runs in my family. So I love music And again, I was a pastor's kid, so they put me in music. So because of that, music was always my thing. But there's a lyric by Molly Music that says, "God's plan for me is bigger than music." And it was not until I actually did like Abraham. I moved from my kindred. I moved from what was familiar, and I basically followed God, and I got into I got into the right community. I did get into a church, and I did, get into the traditional aspect of my life. But for the most part, I was searching for something more than what I had been brought up in, because I knew God's plan for me was bigger than music, because I was writing poetry. I started writing
Yes.
poetry in college, and I started writing as a result of some of the things that I was stressing about or going through. So I was like, well, there's a spoken word in me, and then when I began to um, um, evolve in like Fayetteville, I started attending church at True Vine Ministries, and it was actually there that I started to explore like ministry, like not just music, but ministry, and how many ways you can actually minister. And so once I actually realized that God's plan for me was bigger than music and even bigger than poetry, I basically gave him my life, and I said, whatever you want to do with my life, you can do it. And um and it has been pretty tough, because um because like I said, I'm like you even said, it feels like I'm a unicorn, and I'm, out here not really knowing, who I am. But I went back to my creator. And I know that may sound very, you know, it may sound simple to some and it might sound grand to others, but I went back to my creator and I literally asked God, like, why did you create me? Why is my name Veronica? And 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 how I was able to just, and I just really started following God to the letter. I mean, to be honest, I know it may sound like cliche, but just go back to your creator, and he will help you in those times where you're like, God, did you really call me to do this? Did you really choose me to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you stay connected with God, the more things start to fall off you, that people, like your environment or where you were reared up in, like they trained us and they formed us, but God created us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When he created us, he put things in us for us to also create.
Yeah.
So one thing I would say is go back to your creator. And how do I navigate between the times where I'm having a crisis of identity? Um, I I rest in the fact that he who had begun and work good work in me will complete it.
That's it.
And you have to remind yourself of who you are in God. You just have to remind yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Like
does. Absolutely.
like I said, it's whenever I'm whenever I feel off, I just go back to God and be like, what is this? And then he'll say, well, that's a part of your old man,
Mm-hmm.
and your old man is becoming a new man, and so go back to your creator and stay in your creator's face
I love it.
until you become not so much as comfortable, but until you become settled,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
in
Absolutely.
being different, and settled in and having a whole lot of talents, and settled in being, looked at funny, or being settled in people saying, well, why don't you just sit down somewhere? You just don't know what you want to do. No, I'm
Uh-huh.
out here being who
We have
God
all heard that.
created me, honey.
Yeah, and it sends fire through my veins almost every time somebody says it. That and you were in the streets. You had to
Yeah,
run them streets so much, doing all this going,
yeah.
And I'm just like,
Honey, I be
"Dude,
like, Jesus, go Peter, get thee behind me, Satan.
get on back there. Because if you don't, you might get cooked. And I'm like, nah. But
Because
no, it's
because
for
the
real.
thing about it is, you're not calling that person Satan, but if you're speaking against
Yeah.
what I know
What I
God has
know.
called me to do,
Come on now.
you let the enemy use you.
That's right.
Don't
And
get
you're
me behind
against
me.
what's supposed to happen. Absolutely. Get
Yeah.
on behind me now, 'cause I got somewhere to be. I got somewhere to
I
go. I got something to do. You know
got
what I'm
somewhere to
saying?
be.
So
If you can't help me, please don't stop me.
get out of my way.
Don't try to block me.
Come on now, Margaret Allison, angelic voice. I love it. See, you grew up country like me. That's what I'm talking about.
I
Sunday
did. I
mornings
did.
were always the best. So, being a musician, being someone who is kind of in the limelight and on the spotlight a lot of times, growing up, were you shy?
Yes,
When did
extremely.
you know you were different?
I knew I was different, honestly, when I was bullied.
Mm.
I
What age
knew.
that was? What age range?
I'm gonna say like 11.
Ah,
Like
okay.
11. Yeah. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I started, yeah. When I was bullied, I was like, and yeah, I was like I said, I was a pastor's kid, so I was reared up around like Pentecostal type upbringing. So no pants, no makeup, no football games, no
Oh wow!
clown.
Did you go to the movies?
Who
That's
moved?
what I'm saying. That one-eyed devil, the
And the
TV.
thing about it is, we didn't even have a TV when I grew up.
Really?
Like we didn't get a TV till I was 17.
Really?
So when you said TV in the room, in who room, sugar?
Right. I know that's right. I know that's right. We
We
didn't have
used to
one
have.
either, but I think it's just because we couldn't afford it. But
Okay.
that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
17. That was like
Yeah. So
culture shock, wasn't it?
yeah. Yeah. And socially, I even realize now that socially I'm a little behind because of it. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Can you
I
explain
mean,
that? What do you think? Like, what are those components? Where do you know that you're socially behind? Other than
um,
being like me, that whenever you're looking for your year and you're signing up for something, you got to scroll and scroll and scroll until you get there. But what other components have you noticed?
well, just having information about like just watching sitcoms and having that laughter, just
Yeah.
and having those childhood like
Memory.
cartoons, you know
Yeah.
yeah, and so
Absolutely.
I don't be able to have them too many conversations like that.
I
I
know.
mean, I remember the Rugrats, but I don't remember much of them. You get what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that and dating,
Mm.
friendships,
Mm-hmm.
because my mom, they were very protective, and I get it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know anything that my parents did, because
Yeah.
they did, like you said, the parents do what their parents did. Their
Absolutely.
parents did what their parents did.
Yeah.
So I appreciate what my parents did, but when I was a child, I understood it as a child, and I spoke
Come
as a
on.
child, and I became a man.
Got put away them childish things. They
Mhm.
got to go.
And
Absolutely.
sometimes childish things are those things that you have held on to
Mm.
from your childhood,
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I knew I was different outside of the long skirts and outside of the pigtails. I knew that there's some, why y'all picking on me by my skirt? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't bothering y'all,
Right.
you know. And so it was kind of sort of then where I knew that that I was set apart.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, set apart wasn't that word back then. Set
No, it
apart,
was not.
set apart is the 30-year-old me.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because if you heard set apart, then you thought that you were awkward, funky, whatever. So
Yeah.
dealing with that, a lot of people who deal with that deal with imposter syndrome. Have you ever faced that where you felt like, I'm not supposed to be on this stage, I'm not supposed to be in this pathway, I'm not supposed to be on this platform or in this room? Tell us about that.
Not
Like how you dealt
imposter,
with it.
but inferiority.
Ah, okay.
I've never dealt, not that I know of now, but
Hmm.
I've definitely felt inferior. Like I didn't belong, like I was inadequate.
What kinds
And
of people did you feel inferior to? Was it always a certain kind of
oh,
person?
this, no, it's just, I just was like closed off. Like, um, I'm the one that's cheering for everybody else. And
Yeah.
I had one time I was watching somebody on stage, and it was somebody that I totally respected in music. And one of my godmoms, she looked at me and she said, Ronnie, you're just as good as she is.
Mm.
Because I was in awe,
Yeah.
but it did. It's like that stage wasn't meant for me. And so I don't know if they go together. Do imposter and inferiority complex go together?
It kind
Oh,
of
I
can
think
be
too.
a cousin to it. Yeah, almost because it's
Okay,
like
yeah, they can
you
vote.
feel like you're not supposed to be here, or that this is too much for you, or you don't deserve it, that type thing. But the moment really is yours. Like that's just God's way of speaking to you to say, I put you in this room, I put you at this table, I put you on this platform, and this is
Yeah,
your moment. You've been
yeah,
preparing for this for years. Like you said earlier, God equips us with everything that we need for this journey. And if he doesn't already equip us whenever we're born, he allows strategic events to happen that gains us knowledge. And so
yeah.
all things there again work together for
Work
good who
together.
love the Lord. Like it's
Mhm.
just gonna always work out for us.
It
Just like
is.
with us being church kids and that type thing, we're gonna always be in church. Church is always gonna find us. We can't get away from it. I don't care if you run it high, it's gonna always be a part of who you are. And that's the same thing with anything else. Like you can't get away from it. I'm
You
sorry,
can't.
you know?
You can't. It's
Yeah,
in you. It
yeah,
really is in you.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
inferiority does kind of go with it, only because there's something that stops you when you're
Yeah.
inferior, something or someone that stops you from fulfilling your destiny. Where if it's imposter syndrome, it's just really you. It's not the enemy; it's the enemy.
Totally me. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So tell us about like your music and that type thing. What's your favorite song, and who's your favorite
Oh,
artist?
I have seasonal songs, right?
Okay,
So, um, my seasonal, I would say my favorite song of all time
okay.
is "What a Friend We Have in Jesus."
Oh wow, the hymn.
That is my favorite.
Yeah.
That is my go-to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
What
right
does that
now,
song do for you?
um, it lets me know that I have a friend
Wow.
and one of the most amazingest creatures that have ever walked this earth. Like
Yeah.
that's my friend. The Savior is my friend, and I think about the fact that it says like, oh, that part when it says, "Oh, what peace we often forfeit."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what needless pains we bear.
Needless
And
pain
it's
we bear.
all because we don't carry everything to Him in prayer.
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
so I see him as my friend, and when I talk to my friend, it's not always prayer, but
Mm.
it's a conversation.
Conversation. That's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And
where
that's the
I
thing I love
talk to
about God
him and
because
he
it doesn't
talks to
have to be
me.
conversation. He
Yeah,
knows, he feels, he kind of, we kind of exist in that world, and he's just like, something. It's just like a friend who loses somebody or
yeah,
loses a loved one. You don't really have to say much. You just have to be. And
just
I think
be.
a lot of times we mistake God's um, the absenteeism of His voice or the lack of His voice speaking in our lives. We mistake that for He's left us or
Yeah,
whatever. But He's not. He's just right there. Sometimes
yeah,
when you're taking a test, the teacher has to step away. You know what I'm saying? They can be
hmm,
with you all throughout. The
yeah,
learning process. But when it's time for the exam, the teacher has to step away. And
yeah,
so I think that's what God, Jesus, Creator, Source does that for us
yeah,
to allow us to grow and see what we're made of on our own because He loves us and He wants us to be a part, of the family in that way. Not that He holds our hand and drags us along. You're going to do right. You're going to not wear earrings. You're going
right,
to heaven and, whatever, you're not going to wear
right,
pants. But God doesn't do it. He gives us free choice and free will. So,
yeah.
with that, I mean, there's so much inside of you. What are you doing? Where are you at? Like, I just want to hear all about you. Like, what's inside of you? What is there a book? Is there some more music? What's happening with V right now?
Okay. Well, to answer your question about my favorite artist, it must be known that my
Okay.
favorite artist is Molly Music
Molly Music. I should have known that.
across the
Y'all
board.
should have known that. Yeah,
Across the board.
absolutely.
Across the
Yeah.
board.
Is that who you aspired to learn guitar from? Because you play guitar. You got the
No,
guitar with you.
it's in the house.
See what I'm saying?
I
Your
know.
dog gonna tell you to bring that guitar out and
I
sing something for the people tonight.
couldn't have figured you were gonna want me to play that
You know what
gift.
I'm saying? I would set my middle finger up, but I don't want to go to a Facebook yet.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
That's all good. You know I love you. But yeah, Molly music is so good. So that music speaks to you. Is there any other artist or any kind of music that speaks to you?
Um, I actually like Lecrae. I like
Yes.
I love Christian hip hop, like
Yeah.
Lecrae, and I think there's another guy named Trip, and
Okay.
then yeah. So I'm kind of sort of getting into the Christian hip hop.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
That's good
So
stuff.
but as far as me, I do have a book in me, and I'm actually in the process of writing that. Um, it is um, it is actually from the perspective of a pastor's kid. So um, it's actually like Confessions of a Pastor's Kid, and so I have that, and then I have tons of music. Um, um, I I actually did like release like a couple of snippets of
Okay.
some music that I've never released, and I have those on my Facebook page.
Okay.
Um, but I actually, um, I have a vision, to do another recording and things of that nature.
Hmm.
But I really want to be cognizant of of timing and
Sure.
whether because even with my book, like I'm like, do I want to write a book or do I want to do an audio book? And so it's
Mm.
like, is there's like so many different ways where you can get your message out,
That's very
you
true.
know, and so I'm like I'm always doing something musically because I'm a musician. But I actually have a ministry in me that I'm actually going to be launching soon.
Really. I
Yeah.
love when people say stuff like that, especially when they're creative, because you don't know it can be from miles to miles.
Yeah. So it is about the Kingdom Ministries.
Okay.
ATK Ministries is what it's affectionately called.
I got you.
And it's a ministry about worship, individual growth, discipleship, and evangelism.
I love
And
that.
so this will be somewhat of a cyber church, a cyber sanctuary, um, because it's just time. It's just like and like I
It's
said,
just time.
it's just time.
I love it.
and 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 it's so hard to say what I'm gonna do as far as writing or what I'm gonna do musically because right now I am ministry,
Hmm.
and so whatever the moment calls for,
Yeah.
that's what I want to release. You
Mm-hmm.
get what I mean? Like I don't want to go into no studio and spend no money if that's not where the anointing is. Or I don't
Absolutely.
want to sit write no book if that's not where I'm supposed to be. So I'm just like navigating this new place where I did, finally give God a yes to this pastoral call.
I love it. I love it.
I finally gave him a yes, and
Yeah.
so since I gave him that yes,
Hmm.
he has literally been taking me on this journey of becoming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what's going on. So that's why I
Okay.
can't like give you like definitive answers because
I get it.
we're we're in the you caught me in this process. You caught me
Hmm.
in this journey, and so we both looking like, what you gonna do, Lord?
Right. Right.
You're just
Yeah.
as I'm just as excited as you about whatever he's gonna do through me.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
heard Bishop S.Y. Younger say one time before that he was excited about the calling on his life and the fact that God had chose him to do such a great work. And he said he was excited about it because he felt like he was on the right track until the difficult times came, until the challenges of ministry came. So,
Yeah.
and of course, we all know that those challenging times will come no matter what we're doing. But I just want you to be able to encourage someone who might be going through that and having a difficult time in ministry, figuring out who they are, figuring out what their purpose is. So, like with um, knowing who you're supposed to be, what feeds you and keeps you fueled to keep going during those difficult moments of ministry, where it's like, what I sign up for? What is it
Mhm.
that feeds that and fuels that inside of you to say, look, I gotta, that the assignment is bigger than me. I gotta keep going. What is that?
Um, let's see. What is that thing? Um, I give myself, first of all, I give myself grace.
That's
I
beautiful.
give myself grace to feel what I'm feeling.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Because the thing about it is, everybody has Garden of Gethsemane moments.
Yes,
We
definitely.
all, and the thing about us is that it don't just happen one time.
Right.
it
It can be a cycle, a vicious
could
cycle. Yeah.
be like, Lord, if you could just take this one from me. Oh
Right.
gosh,
I'll
not
be
this
straight.
one,
Like,
Lord.
please. No, literally.
So I'm just honest about where I am. I give myself grace for where I am, and I'm really giving myself the grace that God gives me
I love it.
because He graces us for the call.
Mm-hmm.
So when we find ourselves in a space where we're feeling, where
Mm-hmm.
we're feeling, the
Mm-hmm.
weight, and we're feeling, you know, the the um the betrayal and the abandonment, and you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Be in that, because if you ignore it, then it's only going to come up later,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
it's going to come at a time where you might pop off when you
That's
could have
what
just
triggers us, huh? Mm-hmm.
had that
Mm-hmm.
moment with yourself, have them Elijah moments,
Yeah.
have those Jonah moments, have
Mm-hmm.
those moments,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I,
you
I,
know.
I think it's so paramount because, like, for those people who just want to hold on, they want to make a difference, but it just gets really hard. Like, we got to have people around us, a tribe of people who feed us and not just need us, because
Yeah,
it's just so important. But we've also got to be able to give ourselves that same grace that God gives us. How,
yeah.
like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know when it started to where I believed in myself or believed that I was worth giving myself that grace. What
Hmm.
happened in your life, V, that made you tell yourself, I got to give myself some grace?
When I started going through menopause,
Get out of here.
I promise you, because
Really?
because yeah, because your life, literally, your body is making changes, and
Mm.
these are changes that you can't control,
Yeah.
because your body, you're growing, you're getting older. And so I realized that I, like mood swings, these flashes, these night sweats, and one minute I'm happy, and another next minute I'm irritable, and
Hmm.
so it was like, I said, Veronica, I would have to pause sometimes, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, why do I feel this way? And I was like, Veronica, hold up.
Hmm.
You're getting older, dear.
Hmm.
And
That's.
if 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 you don't want to go through this, then what you gonna do?
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely.
So
You have to
you
repeat that cycle because it's something
you
to go through.
that's I'm for real. Like, when, because sometimes I even say to myself, I'm like, why am I so irritated?
Yeah.
And then I'll pause and be like, Veronica, give yourself grace. And then what I'll do is I'll step away from
Mm.
whatever it is
Yeah.
that has my attention, and I go and I take my shoes off and I walk in the grass,
I love it.
or I put my hands under some cold water,
Yeah.
to kind it whatever you can do to center yourself, to get yourself back here,
Hmm. Hmm.
then that's what you do. But yeah, once I actually started going through menopause, and like I said, um, because when you're going through menopause, you have to be, and I know this is kind of with the female talk, but you know, we talk,
Yeah,
you know,
just talk. I love it.
when you go through menopause, like some things are irregular, and then you be count days, like wait a minute, and then you try to figure your triggers out. You know, you try to be like, well, you know, um in 21 days, but then it might be 26 days, or it might be 28 days. You know,
That's
it's
some
so
real
it's
stuff right there. Yes,
you
ma'am.
have to
Absolutely.
pause and say, you know what? I'm going through changes.
Going through changes. Lord have
And
mercy.
I've even had to step away from crowds because I felt myself I felt myself like, getting irritable, and I'll step away
Yeah,
because ain't nobody going through this but me. And I saw someone said that men and women go through changes. And of course, I don't want
absolutely.
to ever, I don't want to ever want to make it like I'm feminist,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah. So I definitely get that men, because y'all can go through stuff too.
Oh God, we do. That whole midlife crisis thing is real when you buy a brand new shiny red car and go to the stoplight, honk at somebody to make sure you still got it. It's a
Right,
real thing.
right,
That's a
right,
real thing.
right,
Yeah.
right. And the thing about it is, we need to start talking about this. We need to start having these conversations,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
they feeding it down our throat with these commercials.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You better believe it. That's what's happening. That's what's
Yeah,
happening. Listen, we only got a couple more minutes with this conversation, and I told you it was gonna fly
you did.
by. I knew it was gonna fly by because it's just when you get two creatives on the line and they just start talking and gelling and just talking about their
Right.
stuff, it becomes a whole different thing. So,
It does.
but I definitely wanted to ask you, what's left to fulfill in your life? What's left for Miss V to fulfill while you have an experience on this side?
My husband.
Come on, your husband.
Ah,
Yes,
my
Lord.
husband is my kingdom spouse. My husband is my kingdom partner.
Come on
And
now.
I just really believe that there are just some things that are just not going to take place until we are together.
I love that. I love
I
that.
really believe that. And I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere. This is the first time I've ever said something like that.
Come on
But
in.
you just got to know when there's somebody else
Hmm.
that you're supposed to be sharing your life with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I haven't experienced marriage. And the thing about it is that I do understand, though, that I'm not the only one that has a decision when it comes down to marriage. And
Hmm.
so I've even accepted
Yeah.
that if God presents me to my husband and he be like, no, I don't know. I'm ready to be a Paulette in these streets, baby.
Come on, Paulette. Yes, Lord. Paulette. Oh my God. I love it. I love it. Oh, V, I think I lost your audio. You might have to go out the studio and come back in. Can you do that? Let me see if I can get you back here. This is good. And while we're working on that, listen, I want you guys to tag somebody, share this, like it, and let them know that the Gift of Conversation Podcast 2.0 is definitely on. And we are here and we are live. And we had Miss Veronica Johnson with us, a music genius, a powerhouse, future ministry leader. And I'm just so, so excited to have her today. We got about 15 minutes before this conversation ends. But yes, Angela Ellie is here. Thank you so much, my sister. My sister Erica Hazel is here. My partner Mark Somerville Jr. is here. Thank you for all being here with us. My cousin Mary Burns, my cousin Sharika Winston. Some of my city family is here. Thank you so much, my cousin Margaret Ann Owens. Thank you all so much, very much, for joining us today. Just having this conversation about how singers saved our lives. Now, one thing I'm very, very adamant about is just following the lead of however God does it with these conversations. I just want, it to be authentic. I want it to be true. I want it to be something that somebody can glean from. And so that's why I brought this very authentic person by name of Miss Veronica Johnson to be up here with us today because she is awesome. She's just awesome. She's a ball of sunshine. She is a ball of awesomeness. I met her at WIDU in Fayetteville, North Carolina, whenever we were doing the Carolina's Best competition. We were not in the same category, but when I tell you that she came and ripped everything up in my category and everything up in her category, I was like, "Who is this amazing woman? Who is this person that literally can come up here and just with a guitar and just with a song can like change the entire atmosphere. It really blessed me. Her voice was like water. I'm not lying. Her voice was like water to me, and it blessed me so good. And so I instantly knew that we had to be connected to each other. And I'm so glad that I had the chance to have this conversation with her. So please, for the last maybe 15 minutes, let somebody know that the Get the Conversation podcast 2.0 is on the air, and we have the amazing Miss Veronica Johnson with us today, who is we're getting ready to wrap the conversation up, but she's here again. I think she's back. V, you still with me, girl? There you go. Now you sound a little different. Can you hear me? She's running, y'all. Look at her. Running for her life. She's running for her life. She's running for her life.
There we go. Can you hear me, sugar? Can you
Yes,
hear
I
me,
can.
sugar?
I can. Oh goodness. It's all good. No, it happened to me too. That's why I had to come out. I was just like, I was telling my son, I was like, is she still talking? Please, Lord, let her still talk. And that's why I love you, because you're gonna make it work by any means
Yes, ma'am.
necessary. You're
We
gonna
gonna make it
always
work,
make it
boo.
work. And I love that about you. Where did you get that from? Is that one of your family things too? Did you guys just had to make it work? Where did you get that from?
Yeah, I got that from my
Mhm.
mama now.
Mom and them.
I
I
got that
love
from
it.
my mama. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I love that about you. I
And
love
my dad. And my dad. Because
your
my
dad
dad is
got
a
it too.
mechanic.
Just making it
Yeah,
work.
oh yeah. Yeah, oh
So I
yeah.
want to go back to something that you said earlier. You were talking about feeling what you feel. I'm a
Okay.
certified life coach, and that was one of the things that I put in my book. Like, I need you to feel, deal, and heal. Like, I
Oh,
need you
I
to feel
love
what
that.
you feel, deal with why you feel that way, and then allow yourself to begin the process of healing, however that, however long that takes. And so,
Hmm.
with you feeling what you feel, that can be a very honest moment. Have there ever been times before where you felt what you felt and you didn't like what you felt, or you felt like it didn't make you feel better to feel these feelings? Because sometimes we
Yeah.
feel it and we're kind of afraid to put our hands on it, afraid
Oh
to be
yeah.
reacquainted with that grief because it just hurts so much. We won't touch it. So have you had those moments? And can you share with us
Yeah.
how you kind of got through it mentally?
Um, well, when I started when I started what do you call that? Unpeeling
Mm,
things. Come on. Mike. When I started unpeeling um things back from my childhood,
mm-hmm.
when I got to dealing with not being, I didn't feel like I was protected. Like
Mm,
I didn't feel like I had people that had my back.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the people that didn't have my back, I was kind of feeling some type of way about them. And they were family members,
Mm,
and um so feeling that about your family can be hard
yeah, of
because
course.
you love your family
Yeah,
and you don't want to blame your family. Um and really they aren't to blame,
right.
you know, because they just did whatever they felt was right to do or whatever. So I kind of would go back and forth with that because there was anger there and then um and I didn't want it to fester and uh I would kind of war with whether or not I was really supposed to be angry,
Mm,
or
that's the
whether
honest thing. Yeah.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
then but the thing about it is the Bible says, "Be ye angry
And
and
not.
sin not."
Mm-hmm.
So anger is a real emotion. It's
Yeah.
just what you do with it
Yeah.
that makes sense. And so yeah, I can say that when it came down to dealing with the childhood um, issues, There were sometimes I didn't want to feel the anger. I didn't want to feel uh the abandonment. Like I even felt abandonment sometimes, you know. So yeah. Does,
Hmm.
did that answer your question? Sure. What?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I love the rawness and the realness of your answers, the authenticity of it all, and that's why I chose you to have this conversation with. Because, and I knew in the last 10 minutes it would turn, because it always
Didn't you
does.
know?
I'm like, look at her digging a ditch right now. Like that. Now that's so true. Um, with failures and disappointment. I know we have a lot of that or whatever. And sometimes whenever God is molding us and making us, it's just better to go willingly and go through those things, so we don't have to repeat those tests. Um, how is it for you repeating tests, or have you repeated any tests? And what did you learn from repeating that test? How did you get out of that cycle of repeating that test?
Um, I ooh, I ain't had no good. I ain't chose good with these fellas. Whew,
See what I'm saying?
them is the biggest. That's yeah.
That's the one. Okay.
That's the
Okay.
one.
I get
That's
it.
the one. That's the one.
You ain't choose good with the fellas. What made you not
Yeah,
choose good with
chin
the
shoes.
fellas? Where'd that come from?
Um, w- well, I really didn't. I had role models,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have teachers.
Mm.
Like
You
I
saw
had
the role,
men.
but you didn't know what consisted in the role,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
finite details.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah,
I've never heard
and
that before.
yeah, yeah. I had major men in my life that were stand-up men, but
Hmm.
when it came down to the right men to choose,
For you.
nobody for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I am that one that was looking for love in all the wrong places and trying to and picking up projects and because I've always been an evangelist.
Yes, you have. I've
So
always called you the evangelist.
so
Always.
I dated a whole lot of my assignments.
Oh, let me tell you something. Oh, you see, I said the same thing today. I definitely slept with
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of assignments.
I dated a lot of my
That thing
assignments. I was
hard.
just
Ain't that hard?
yeah,
Do
yeah,
it
yeah,
still hurt
yeah.
you to say that a little bit? Because like,
Nope.
let me tell
Nope.
you, it still bothers me so. I be cringing. I'm like, yeah, I'm on my assignment. You know what I'm saying? I be itching and everything because I'm just like, but
Yeah.
it is a thing. It is a thing, and that's what I say. I love your honesty, because a lot of people are not willing to say something like that. Somebody comes to me and talks about praise and worship, and you're great. I'd love to glean from you. I'd love to sit under you and just whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, you gonna sit under me, all right? Stupid.
All
It's
right.
stupid, B. It's very
Yeah.
stupid, because it's like, why that whole time did I not realize that God was allowing me to be a drawer of people? You know what I'm saying? To know
Yes.
that is my gift. Like, I
Yes.
wish I had like a little, I don't know, like a little fairy or something to say, don't touch that one. Because
Right,
that one
right,
right there is
right,
your assignment. Don't even look
right.
twice.
Right,
Keep it moving.
right, right.
And those are the things. So I know that there are some, my audience is mainly women, and I know a lot of them are single and are having they have hopes to be married one day. What can you say? How can you speak to that woman who is waiting for marriage one day? What advice do you give them while they're waiting for that husband and trying not to, sleep with any more assignments, or, be in the wrong place at the wrong time? How do you what is their assignment now? What do they do while they're in that moment of waiting?
Well, it's funny that you would be here, but it's divinely ironic. Because I've been invited to share at a singles conference.
Come on,
So so
help the single
my
people.
ah, so my thing would be, and this is really like the theme, is that come on, light.
That's what
It's
they doing. Let me tell
it's
you something. This whole broadcast been funky, but it's all right.
I
This is my
know.
first time getting back on since season 2, so we dark and
Listen, we
all. They gonna
winging.
get this
Okay, there we
information.
go.
There you go.
Okay,
There it is.
so what I would say to my single sisters and my single man
Come on.
is you are not your relationship status. That's
Mm.
not you.
Harold.
You are not single. You are not unmarried. You are a child of God before any of that.
I love
And
that.
so use this time to make sure that you are a wife and that you are a husband and not that you are single, because when you look and say, well, I'm single, then you're gonna be
That's
ready
what
to
you
mingle.
manifest. Single
Huh?
pieces of cheese. That's what you manifesting.
Yeah,
Single
yeah,
pieces of
yeah.
cheese.
I'm single, so I'm ready to mingle, and I'm not married, so I feel like I can sleep around. But no, 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 no. You have
Mm-mm.
to know that you're a wife, and
Yeah.
you have to know that you're a husband,
Hmm.
because my motto is, I don't want a man that wants a wife. I want a man that wants to be a husband.
Mm.
Because when you are a husband, you know what comes with it. God has given you what you need, you know. I mean, because that's who you are, that's a part of you. And
Yeah.
as a woman, the Bible says, he's whoso findeth a wife. So that means you're already a wife.
You're already
You-
working in that capacity.
You're a wife.
Hmm.
So in this particular time, make sure that you get clean of all the residue of relationships,
Hmm.
renounce people that you done connected with soul ties.
Yes.
Use this time to make sure that when your husband or when your wife comes, that they get you alone, that they ain't get no fella or no girl that you done slept with and they flipped it up and they turned it around, and they
Hmm.
got me flowers and they got my nails done. But this dude, he may want to plant you flowers,
Hmm. Exactly.
so
Oh my
yes,
God,
so
that blew my mind. He might want to plant you
he
flowers
might want to plant you some
instead of giving
sunflowers,
you
boo
flowers.
boo.
Wow. Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah.
That is amazing. See, I love how your brain connectivity just works, and you just like are just multifaceted. You're multi hyphenate. We got about 2 minutes left on this conversation. I told you that this was gonna
Uh-huh.
happen. And some folks
You
saying,
did.
"Preach, pastor." They saying this is some good stuff right now, and I love it.
Praise
Somebody said I
God.
can't wait to watch the replay. Um, so I told you it was gonna go really, really fast. I mean, that's just how it is when we start talking about because we can talk for days about
We
endless
can. And it's
topics.
been a minute since we talked too.
I know,
So
no,
we
no, it
kind of
really has
catching up
been.
in front of everybody.
We catching up in front of everybody. That's exactly what it is. I don't care. That's my friend. That's my sister. No, I'm gonna catch up
Yes,
and drink my
honey.
water and let my little camera fall off my little ring light I just bought today. It's crazy, but listen, I would not want this crazy to happen with anybody else but you. V. You are such an inspiration and such a light. I have to give you your flowers while you live. You're such an
I
amazing
appreciate
human
it.
being, inside and out, and I'm just so glad that I know you now. Even if you never make, to the billionaire status or whatever,
Right, right.
glad that I know who you are now because you are great on the inside. Your presence literally fills every room that you're in, whether you feel
Oh,
like it or not, whether you have those good days or bad days. I never knew that you dealt with all that you dealt with when I first met you because I'm just like, this girl is
yeah,
awesome. That's just it.
yeah,
She always
yeah.
smiling. I don't think nothing wrong. And so just being your friend and talking to you and seeing some of the hurdles that you've gone through have inspired me as a Christian, as a man, as an individual to live a better life,
Awesome.
to know that there is hope on the other side because I watched you survive it. So thank you so much for this time. I got one more question for you. And then we're about to
Okay.
end our first episode for season 2 of the Get the Conversation podcast. Um, because this is called the Get the Conversation podcast, V, let me ask you if you could have a conversation with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne. Honestly, tell me why.
I told you.
I know it. I knew
Because
you were gonna come left with it because you always do. You never give me the answer that I'm expecting you to give. Tell us why, Lil Wayne.
because because Lil Wayne has a presence about him that he ain't got to say a word.
That's very true.
Lil Wayne is Lil Wayne for one. Secondly, Lil Wayne is one of the coldest freestyle artists in the entire world for
Wow.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that what's in him just comes out when
Hmm.
he gets behind a microphone, that part gets me as a poet, as an artist, as a writer, as a singer, as a musician. And um, and the thing about it is, I haven't like necessarily like followed his journey, but I remember when he wasn't all tatted and he didn't have the locks, and like I remember that Wayne. You get what I
Yeah.
mean? And it doesn't matter who he is now. It
Mm.
takes nothing away from the gift that's in him. It takes nothing away from even the call that's on him. Because I believe that I've been praying for him flat out. Because I pray for the folks over there.
I know that's right, and that's what you're
I know
supposed
we
to
done
do.
counted them out, but no, as
Hmm.
long as they still on this earth, they can still be
That's right.
used by God, you know. And so, yeah, to be honest, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Lil Wayne. Lil
Lil
Wayne.
Wayne,
That's all
like for
right.
real,
I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. I
Listen,
know, right?
I'm always in there, but I'm always sitting on the edge of my seat whenever I talk to you because I never know what's gonna come out next from out of yours. But I just wanted to tell you thank you this time with you.
You're
This
welcome.
hour
Thank
time has been
you.
so amazing, and I know that you've inspired somebody else. How can people find you so they can tell you, V, you inspired me today. I love what you said. How can they find you? Give us everything.
Okay, well, I'm Veronica Johnson, VLJ on Facebook. You can actually follow me or friend me. I am V316 dot with a period rocks at on Instagram. So yeah,
Sounds
yep.
good. Sounds good. So, listen, we look forward to seeing the great things that God is doing for you in your life and to see the evolution of thee. You know what I'm saying? I'm just so excited about it. Thank you so much for being with me today. I'm going to put you backstage and I'll be with you in a few minutes. I just want to say bye to my friends before we leave. But, everybody, thank you so
Okay,
much for
dokie.
having Miss Veronica Johnson with us today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Love y'all. You're welcome, babe.
All right. Let me see how I do
All
this.
right.
Oh Lord, here we go. I thought I had it. Jesus. There we go. All right. Listen, y'all, this has been a wonderful conversation. We went about 3 minutes over, but it was worth it. It was so worth it to be able to talk to Veronica Johnson today to talk about how singing saved her life. We didn't get into it much, but listen, the nuggets that we got tonight were nuggets of a lifetime. Were nuggets that you can chew on for the rest of the week until I join you again next Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining season 2 of the Get the Conversation podcast 2.0. Tag somebody, share this with somebody, watch the replay, follow us on YouTube. Do whatever you can to support this because this is something that somebody needs. So, thank you all for joining us today, Convo Kings and Queens, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday, 7:30, same time, same place. Listen, live life to the best of your ability because death is so final and life is too short. I love you guys. Take care.